Hi, this is Larry Tabb, founder and CEO of TabbGroup. I'm here with Gurvinder Singh, president and CEO of IVP Cosmos Technologies. And the discussion today is really around hedge fund regulation. We're seeing both in the U.S. and Europe that the governments and the regulators want better insight into hedge funds, and we've seen them push to get them to register, and we're starting to see SEC audits of hedge funds. What does this mean? What does this entail? Do they just want to get a slip of paper saying I'm XYZ hedge fund, or is it a little bit more intensive than that?
I think, just to step back a little bit, most of the larger hedge funds are already SEC registered and FSA registered.
Okay.
So it's also a little bit of a fallacy in the sense that it's not regulated. So they're somewhat regulated already. I think the level of scrutiny has gone up by maybe 5, 10, or 20, or maybe even 100 times, depending upon who you talk to within the industry. And so the level of preparing for the level of scrutiny is what the hedge funds are really struggling with right now.
So what kinds of things are the regulators asking these guys?
I think the standard playbook of questions has pretty much been torn up and thrown out. So it's no longer okay. Show me where your assets are held. Show me your reconciliation process and so on. It is actually going down to the level of talking about the investment process. How you come up with alpha ideas. Show that none of them are corrupted by any external sources or so on. Like, if there was, I was telling you earlier about an example of a client where one of the SEC guys asked them, hey, you guys put on a trade at whatever 9:05, and at 9:10 this news came out. Prove to me that there's no correlation. And and it's a hard thing to prove unless you naturally start documenting your investment process now.
Well, do funds typically document their investment process?
No, they don't.
That's the problem.
So that's again, so it's and I think the bigger funds.
So the idea is, okay, this is how I look for alpha. Jot down all the things that come out of that screening process. We had 27 ideas. We brought it down to 5, and we invested in 3.
Whatever your process is, I think whatever your custom internal process is. The funds, all of them regularly have 1 or 2 investment committee meetings, right, where they decide on capital allocation. They look at ideas. They look at performance of the strategies. Increase, decrease capital, but they are probably not as well documented. You have a discussion with the senior PM, and then you go out and do it.
Right.
But now I think there's going to be a little bit
more rigorous.
We need to document some thought process around it, how we came to that decision, how we executed it, and so you have some kind of a regular audit trail that you can show that this was done as part of normal course of business.
And now we're also looking at more mid-office and back-office processes to audit as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think what the advice we are giving our clients, based on some of the more latest audits that some of our clients have gone through, is to be prepared to basically recreate a trading day in the past, because that's effectively what they are going to ask you.
So how you came up with the decisions, what your investment process was, what your trading process was, what your clearance and settlement, all that other stuff.
All the way down to if you had a break, how you resolved it. Show the full audit trail. Show the communication. If you marked your book, especially for the illiquid securities, how the marketing.
How'd you get the prices?
Who did you get the 3 quotes from, and then why did you pick the mid? Why did is this policy consistently applied over the last 6 months or 1 year, or when the policy was changed? Because the fund can change the pricing policy, because the fund is the valuation agent.
Right.
At the end of the day for the portfolio. So being able to document all those has become very important. So funds typically, I think pricing is one example, because the OTC portion of the portfolio has become such a big part of the funds. that how you price it is very critical now, and giving that level of transparency both to investors and regulators. But I think the other interesting trend, I would say, is the investors were maybe a year ahead of the regulators.
Okay.
Which people probably don't realize, because they don't get that much press cover. But the investors have been asking for more details on the portfolios.
I guess the Madoff issue has opened up a whole bunch of worries from investors to make sure their money is safe.
And even I would say the process is also becoming more complex, because the hedge funds are actually going down the custody path as well, especially the the non-leveraged ones. So they no longer want to keep all their assets just at the PB.
They want to migrate to a traditional custodian.
Yeah. And so so the whole industry is in a little bit of a flux, but that's yet another step in the process. And that's yet another place where things can go off or go wrong. So I think the hedge fund, it is going to get probably more expensive for hedge funds to stay in business.
So to a certain extent, that goes back to our conversation last week, really talking about consolidation and multi-strat, and being able to have a fewer number of larger funds doing different things.
I think the Man GLG acquisition, the combination is a classic, response. I think Manny Roman, in one of his comments I read, said either you have to be big,
right, you need scale.
And I think so. It is definitely.
So we're seeing the maturation of the fund industry basically going the same way the mutual fund industry and the broker-dealers went.
I think so.
From a wide variety of investors or money managers to a smaller, larger scale.
I think so. I think the regulations are definitely going to force it towards that direction. Having said that, I think there's still. We're not. It's not like we're not seeing new startups, but the new startups are there. They're probably more focused, and they have true alpha ideas, versus being there were a lot of pure leveraged beta players. 2 years back, and I think that's been winnowed out over the last 2 years.
Interesting times. With that, I think we're going to cut it. Again, I'm here with Gurvinder Singh, President and CEO of IVP Cosmos Technology. For me, Larry Tabb, Founder and CEO of TabbGroup. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.